I will call this meeting of the Jackson County Library District Board on November 9th, 2025 to order. And we have a roll call when Yoli gets back to her station.
Susan Kiefer,
Here.
Patty Jensen,
Here.
Marissa Shepherd,
Here.
Marta Teranzi,
Here.
Kevin Keating.
Here.
All right, and I will now read the land acknowledgement. Jackson County Library Services acknowledges that its libraries are located within the traditional lands of the Cow Creek Band of Umpqua Tribe of Indians and the Modoc Nation, as well as the Shasta, Takelma, and Letgawa people, whose descendants are now identified as members of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians and the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde. We take this moment to recognize the indigenous peoples whose traditional lands are where residents of Jackson County live today. JCLS is committed to fostering understanding, deep respect, and honor for indigenous people, and we encourage you to learn more about the land you reside on. For more information, go to jcls.org/land. And I don't believe we have any proclamations. Do you have any introductions?
No, ma'am.
No introductions. Do we have any requests to amend the agenda? Goodness, this is just going very easily then.
Just Susan, the one that we do not need the executive session. So
Right. Well, we'll just cross that off.
Also, I'm amending the agenda. I'm suggesting amending the agenda to remove that.
All right.
So nobody's sitting around like, I'm just dying for the executive session.
All right. Could I have, we do not need this executive session to discuss the property transfer, or any other real property transactions. So may I have a motion to delete the executive session from our agenda?
Seconded.
Do we have a first motion? All right, Marta has moved and Kevin has seconded that we delete the executive session from the agenda. All in favor, please signify.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. It carries. Thank you. And now we have the consent agenda, which has minutes from the October 5th first work session, from the October 15th regular board meeting, and the holiday schedule as proposed by Brandon Fogarty. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, or does anyone want to move anything off the consent agenda?
I'll learn. I move to approve the consent agenda.
All right. Was that a second?
Second.
Okay. Yeah. It's been moved and seconded, moved by Patty and seconded by Kevin, that we approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any requests for communications from the audience? I don't see any audience here except staff, so. All right, then we will just move into new business. And Wendy's going to be virtual now. Are we ready for that?
Yes, Yoli is Wendy available?
Hello.
Hey, Wendy.
I'm so glad you can hear me.
I can hear you.
We can't see her though, and yet you're pulling up the presentation.
Okay, I am not
technical.
able. I've tried to share my video, and I am not allowed to.
Ah,
but we've got a slide deck to look at, so that's
All right.
okay. Uh, Thank you all so much. My name is Wendy
So,
Cornelison. I'm the state librarian for Oregon. I've been in this role for about 3.5 years here, and really appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit more about the state library with you today.
great.
So, as you can see here, the state library's mission is one of equitable access to library and information services for the people of Oregon. At the state library, we really have two libraries and a consulting firm. Go to the next slide, please. The first part of our library I'd like to talk about is the Talking Book and Braille Library. This is a service for Oregonians with a print disability. And whether that's, somebody who's got arthritis so bad they can't hold a book open, dyslexia, or a vision impairment. This is a free service run in partnership with the National Library Service for the Blind, which is a federal program and part of the Library of Congress. So they're providing the players, they're providing access to the audiobooks. And the staff here at the State Library are daily doing circulation of several hundred items, about 30,000 items per month. And we have just over 4,000 active users across the state. Next slide, please. The other library service that we have here at the State Library is our Government Information and Library Services Division. And that is very specifically library services to state employees and the legislature. This includes reference assistance, print and electronic resources, and instruction material. It's really promoting informed decision making and government transparency by providing that professional, high quality, unbiased information services for the folks who are making policy decisions. We're also legislatively mandated to provide permanent public access to state government publications, especially the Oregon documents. So these are the reports that state agencies publish. We have both physical and more and more these days electronic access available for these resources that anyone in Oregon can access through our website.
Hey, Wendy.
Yeah.
So that is just for the state documents, right? Not for US government documents?
We do also have federal documents. Thank you for
Sure.
mentioning that. So it's in parlance, GovDocs, government documents overall include both state and federal documents. Our legislative mandate is specifically for Oregon documents, but we do also have a large number of federal documents, especially when they pertain to Oregon, the Pacific Northwest, or topics that we care about here in Oregon, like salmon, water rights, things like that.
Cool. And the other funds assessment, is that?
Ooh, that is their funding. Thank you. I will speak on that as well. The state library has 4 different funding streams. We get dollars from the general fund every year, which is how, for the most part, our Talking Book Library is supported. We also receive other funds assessment, which is charges from other state agencies. So we charge other state agencies for their use of the Government Information and Library Services Division. And so that is how they are paid for, is through that other funds assessment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And with that, I will move into our next slide. This is our consulting firm, and this is our Library Support and Development Services Division. These are the 10 folks, our small but mighty group that assist the 1900 public academic school and special libraries, also working with our tribal nations across the state um, on a whole wide variety of things, but certainly in continuing education. We offer some statewide services for libraries and also both state and a little bit of federal grant funding as well. And I'm going to get into those in a little bit more detail. But I will point out here that the funding for library support is a majority of federal funds from the Library Services Technology Act is how this division in particular is supported. Overall, it's about 25% of the budget for the state library.
This is Marta. Can you please give a couple of examples of what special libraries are? Is that like the law libraries counties have, or just so I have a better idea? Thank you.
Oh, it's a great question. Special libraries would often include, yes, a law library. The state library would also be considered a special library. It is usually one that is sort of outside the public school or academic library.
Sorry, Wendy, Kevin, again. Just the school, is that K-12 and private as well as homeschool, or just your district schools?
Yeah, for the most part, we're working specifically with the public K-12 schools, uh, and not that we wouldn't uh, uh, share resources, share information with private schools as well. But it is usually not specifically for homeschooling consortia or homeschooling parents. Um, Although we do hope that all homeschoolers are utilizing their public libraries and can get resources there. Okay, I'm going to move us on to our next slide, where we talk a little bit more about that federal funding. LSTA, the Library Services Technology Act, is what that stands for, is federal funding. It's $2.5 million a year, and it covers here at the state library positions. We have statewide programs. These are the dollars we use to invest in local communities, and the dollars that we use to improve library operations across the state as well. I really appreciate knowing that JCLS staff have connected with state library employees, some of those in the positions for consulting services on a wide variety of topics, including library law, budget processes, and copyright. Uh, I asked the team to send me some numbers. So it is 7 times in the last 5 years. JCLS has also received 2 LSTA grants from the state library in the last 5 years. The CARES Act grant for the Tech Connect van was way back in 2020 for just over $88,000 to purchase an outreach van. And then the Holtz pickup locker at Shady Cove Branch was also an LSTA grant as well. So thank you so much for taking advantage of those resources when they became available. Next slide. One of the ways that we use the LSTA funding is really to broaden out access to information and recognize that in Oregon, there's not a whole lot of state aid that is given to libraries across the state. As you well know, local library service is very much dependent on the local tax base. And in order to provide that base level of access to information, the state library provides a few different resources, including a 24/7 online reference search called AnswerLand. So this is available in English or Spanish. Folks can I'm going to say call in, but it's usually chatting online, and are able to connect with an actual person, a librarian. And we have folks across the state and volunteers from around the country who help answer those questions. These LSTA resources also help pay for, or I'm sorry, entirely pay for the statewide access to various library databases. And Jackson County Library Service patrons have searched these various 23 online resources uh, over 5,000 times in fiscal year 2025. We have the Northwest Digital Heritage Project, which is currently helping Southern Oregon University digitize some of their historic content and make it available to anyone who has an internet connection. We also provide support for OSLIS, which is the Oregon School Library Information System that uses those databases and adds in a level of instruction for teachers and also K-12 students to really get the most out of those resources. That's work we do in collaboration with the Oregon Association of School Libraries. And then we also help fund the Oregon Battle of the Books. Quite possibly the nerdiest thing ever. So. Hearing no questions, I'm going to move on to my next slide. Our LSTA dollars also help empower libraries through summer reading support, professional development, data, and then, of course, those wonderful consultants. In the past 12 months, Jackson County Library Service staff have completed 52 different tutorials or recorded webinars from our niche academy, also known as the Oregon Library Staff Academy resources. We also provide the Dowd Training Academy, and 47 different staff members have watched a combined 423 webinars from the safety and security focused section of those online training tools that are available to any library worker in the state. We know that the Public Library Survey and the data gathered from that giant report every year, thank you for everyone who's helped collect that data and review that data and submit that data to us annually, really helps libraries communicate value to decision makers. And I know many libraries across the state utilize that data for comparisons and benchmarking and really making sure that they're providing resources and services to their patrons. I also want to give a shout out to Jackson County Library Service staff who serve on a variety of state library advisory councils and committees, including Lauren Arnold on the Statewide Database Advisory Committee, Regina, I wrote this down too fast, Manino on the Public Library Stats Advisory Group, and Kelda Vath on the LSTA Advisory Council. So thank you all very much for your service. The next slide talks a little bit more about that federal budget cycle. And I add this in because you may have heard about this government shutdown that happened pretty much for the whole month of October. There is also a lot of concern around federal funding for libraries in future federal budgets. The Institute of Museum and Library Services, where we receive federal funding here at the state library from, is part of discretionary spending. That budget is not yet finalized. It's still a work in progress. And it is part of the Appropriations Subcommittee on Labor, Health, Human Services, Education. It's buried down there in the related agencies. So, as you know, we're in a continuing resolution phase for the federal budget right now. That's not too much of a surprise. Continuing resolutions have been used in all but 3 fiscal years since 1973. It may be April of 2026 until we know what the budget is for federal fiscal year 2026 that started way back in October. So that's okay. These are 2-year grants. I spend the money in the second year. So that part is that delay is not an issue. Right now it's the uncertainty that's the issue for the federal budget cycle. And we're all just hoping that the budget can get passed soon. So I also wanted to just mention because you may also be following the news. On our next slide, I talk a little bit about the state budget cycle. Here in Oregon, we work off, again, it's a 2-year cycle. Our current 27 budget cycle just started in July and goes through June 30th of 2027. Our next legislative session starts in February, and it's called short session. It's about 30 or 35 days altogether. Oregon is one of the many states that requires a balanced budget. So because the revenue forecast has been lower than initially projected when the current budget was passed in July of 2025, the state library and every other executive agency has been asked to turn in a reduction spreadsheet. And this reduction spreadsheet is where they asked the state library to, hey, if you had to cut 5% of your budget, what would you cut? And they asked that for the general fund amounts and also for our other fund assessment amounts. So we've turned that information in. The legislature is just today wrapping up. They call them interim legislative days. They meet quarterly here in Salem and have conversations, but don't really make any budget decisions until the actual legislative session. But we did turn in that reduction exercise. And one of the things that is on the list, and again, no decisions have been made, they would not be made until February, is a reduction of ready-to-read funding. So this isn't anyone's first choice. We know how important and valuable ready-to-read funds are for you, for every public library in Oregon. We know the economic impact it has for your community. For every state dollar invested, it is a $3.99 gain for the just the local community for ready to read dollars. So we know the impact that has for your libraries. But I'm sorry.
This is Carrie May,
Hi,
the
Carrie.
library director. Hello. We do have a couple of newer board members. Could you describe a little bit more what the Ready to Read program is so that they have a little more
Absolutely.
understanding of that, please?
Thank you. Ready to Read is the state aid that Oregon provides to public libraries who meet our minimum conditions and who apply for the funds. So last year, I believe it was 139 public libraries who applied for and received this funding. It's a minimum of $1,000, and it is a formula-based grant. It is based on the geographic size and also the population of children between the ages of 0 and 14 in that area. So I've got numbers in front of me for Jackson County, but they're projected here for the future. These are dollars that are utilized for either early literacy or for summer reading support. And it is up to each library to decide how they would like to use them uh, within that criteria. So, and I know that the Ready to Read grant for this year, for this state fiscal year for 2026, um, is expected to go out and will be sent out to all libraries very likely the first week in December. And again, it provides libraries time to plan if they are utilizing the funds for summer reading. Uh, and the amount for Jackson County is $39,697. The reduction exercise would hit in the next fiscal year. So not this year, but next year for fiscal year 2027. Now, if the state legislature does decide to reduce that amount by the full 5%, it would be then next year an amount of $32,696. Again, no decisions have been made. It's an exercise at this point in time. And today's revenue forecast was much stronger, I think, than folks expected. So it's not quite as dire as September's.
Good.
Yeah. And with that, if we go to the next slide, I'm available for any other questions that you might have. I've got my contact information listed there if you have need to reach me later.
Hey, Wendy?
Yeah.
Did I hear you right? I guess we're getting 39K in the ready to read in Jackson County. And if
Correct.
the 5% reduction went in, we'd get 32.
For next year.
Yes, for next year. Mhm.
Right. Isn't that a lot less or more than 5% reduction?
So
Thank
thank you for checking my math. It is a lot more. It is in fact a 23% reduction. It is 5% of the state library's general fund.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Mhm. It's about $10,000 less.
This is Marta, and I wanted to thank you for this presentation and also looking back at March when the Oregon State Library hosted the Oregon Library Association for the Library Legislative Day at the Capitol. And you were a very gracious host at the same time that another state agency was also using your building considerably because of a remodel in their own building. So thank you for welcoming us all at that event. And if it's held again or when it's held again, please know the advocacy committee board members and the library director and possibly other board members are very excited to see you in your office and in your facility. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely. I look forward to it. I expect that will be in probably February of 2027.
All right.
Wendy and board members, I just want to add, I don't know that every call to the state library staff gets recorded because when Wendy said only 7 times in the last couple of years, I'm like, I feel like I've done that in the last 6 months and really always appreciate the quick response that we get from staff at the state library. And when we worked on the annual statistical report, for example, I know that Regina is in contact with Ross in the who helps with the state data coordination. And I've talked with Arlene, particularly around some broadband issues and connectivity across the state, and with Buzzy as I've had some questions, just making sure that I'm understanding state statutes as applied to special districts. So just really appreciate Wendy and all of her team for all of their support for state services. And then, again, the statewide databases. When people ask me what impact would the loss of federal funding have on Jackson County Library Services, that is a place where we point to say if the states did not have the statewide databases, we would have to reanalyze what databases we subscribe to in order to maintain a similar level of expectation for our community.
Marta?
Yeah, one more question, and that is, Wendy, would you, and we don't need the answer right now, or I don't need the answer right now. It would be really helpful to know what special districts that are public libraries in the state engage with OSL at the same level that JCLS does. And I'm asking about this because the conversation of who are our peers due to a variety of metrics keeps coming up, whether it's other systems outside of the state or other systems in the state. So it would be really good to know, who are the 3 other special library districts who engage with you at the level that we do. That would be really curious to know.
Okay. Well, thank you. I will look into that and follow up with Carrie. Y'all are the first to invite me to a board meeting. So
That's surprising.
Well,
Hey, thank you. Hey.
So many times.
All right.
well, thanks everybody.
Well,
Have a
thank
great
you.
rest of the meeting.
Well,
Thank you, Wendy.
thank you very much, Wendy, for spending time with us and expanding our understanding of the state library and all it does for the libraries in the state. I think she's gone.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Moving on. So next up is waiving fines for expired patrons, and Kelda's going to speak on that.
Good evening.
Evening.
In your packets is a agenda item memo about this process that we've now done the last few years in a row. It's become an annual process to clean up our database. The ILS, the integrated library system that we use, in order to purge inactive accounts, they first need to be clear of any fees. So this is a formal request to waive a big number of fees, but really there is very little likelihood of any of this being collected, so that we can purge these accounts that have been inactive. They expired before June of 2022. There are 1,397 accounts with a total amount of $71,260 of fees that we are asking to waive this year.
Is that that's not hangovers from when we still had fines, is it? Or is this what?
I don't believe so. It is in alignment. I do have the numbers that, the number of patron records as well as the amounts from previous years. And this is comparable to the amount. So
I would guess this is mostly lost books.
This is
and
lost books
Yes.
and things like that. My recollection from when the fine free went into place in 2018, there was a waiving of some fines at that point of fines, not
Right.
fees.
Yes.
And so, 5 years would be the last year that we did charge overdue fines, but I believe that this had already been waived prior to this. If it wasn't in 2018, it was when we moved to our new system in 2020.
mhm.
So
Okay.
Mark?
Yeah.
Have we been planning on this money to come in? In other words, is
It's not
this funding budgeted
budgeted.
anywhere?
No.
Thank you.
No, this, and so really the purpose here is so that we can in January, so that through the next couple of months, we can go through and waive these, so that in January, we can go through and purge the accounts and keep the 3 years inactive, which is our standard. And so this is our annual process. Now, there is a bonus this year. An additional request of fines and fees to waive. And this is actually from a holdover from the migration in 2020 from the Polaris system to the current ILS. And there are 2 good reasons that this is moving forward. I believe this project actually was something that was brought from the circulation team here in Medford, because it was always a one-off kind of a waiving of these long overdue, fees and fines. So at the point of the migration, when the accounts were migrated, the items were not tied to those amounts. So the numbers came over into the patron records with no items attached. And that was just a part of the migration process.
So we don't know what books they lost. Is that
Exactly. So there's all likelihood that many of these that we are waiving today or requesting that we can waive, they may have come back. They may have been returned. It's just that because they lost that connection was severed between the patron record and that item, we don't know. Some of them might be gone for good. So the primary reason is really we don't know what's come back and we don't know what's not. The other thing is, per board policy in the fee schedule, which is kind of part of the circulation policy, any item that is over 5 years old, we don't collect on that anyway. So for both those reasons, that's why this is here. And so it's really a formality, a request to help clean things up a bit. And let's just do it in one swoop.
Kind of pointed it. Okay, go. I'll go. Oh, pardon me. Excuse me. So just a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Do we have any kind of an idea of what to expect in the forthcoming years? And is 70,000 a number that we're going to keep seeing? And then the second question would be, I don't know if you have the ability to answer this right now, but what does this represent? I mean, are we seeing a lot of people not returning books? Can we have some sort of an idea of what?
So
Are people stealing books? Are we not? I
Yeah,
don't-
so in terms of tracking a loss rate, that's something that's a little bit tricky to do. I know that Lauren Arnold, our collection development manager, Ashley Johnson, our technical services manager, and Regina Menino, data and analytics person, they have gotten together to talk about how can we maybe start to track that better in terms
I'd
of,
really like
because we don't have security systems. So but yeah, in terms of the projections, so let's see. So last year we waived 63,000 and change. The year before that, it was 77,000. The year before that, 43. The year before that, 19. So it's a hefty amount, but it isn't out of the ordinary, at least for the last few years.
Right. I would just like to see if we can start reducing it in the future. And that would start with trying to figure out what the problem is.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
That's, yeah.
I think doing an analysis of what the loss rate is and kind of, I guess what an industry standard is, but we also probably around that time when the amount that we're forgiving has gone up is we did decide and recommended to the board that we no longer use a collection agency.
Mhm.
And so when we made that change, we did see an increase in books not returned. We also no longer charge a fee if somebody loses something that's more than 5 years old. So
Yep.
there are additional funds. We're already saying, you know what, that book is old enough. We're not going to put it back into the collection if it's been lost for more than 5 years. So there are things that we are doing to help maintain a fresh collection, if you will, while not penalizing someone for something that they bring back that we're not adding back into our collection, if that makes sense. And to kind of go to Marta's first question and to address why we are bringing this to you is my understanding is that because this is a potential revenue source that we are saying we'll never see it, that's what requires the action to get it removed from our from our, from our expectations, if you will. That's not the
Right.
way to put it.
The recommendation
Mhm.
in the memo has two very distinct long sentences. Do you want it to be two separate motions that we'll vote on very quickly, or do you want it to be one very long sentence?
I have no preference.
I think we can do one motion because it's going to be in the
Wouldn't-
spirit of cleaning up the data,
Yes.
moving on. The funding is not coming in, so I'm going to be supportive of this because it gets us into 2025, 2026, and the 21st century faster. So I make the motion that we approve waiving the fees on all patron records with no activity since before July 1, 2023, inactive for 3 years, and that we approve to waive uncollected fees that were migrated to Koha in 2020 as part of that one-time batch cleanup process.
I second.
Thank you. So it's been moved by Marta Terency, and seconded by Patty Jensen that we waive the fees as requested by staff for
And
inactive patrons and
As recommended.
recommend. Yes. Is there
Discussion.
any further discussion? Do you have any questions, Marissa?
No, sounds good.
All right. With no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think Mr. Fines might have just been here for a minute and left. But maybe he'll come back. Is that him? Come in. He's coming.
Yes, if we could move that up the agenda item, we do have to,
We have to,
guests here for that.
do we have to amend the agenda?
Yeah, guess so. I move
All
we
right.
amend the agenda in order to move up.
Well,
funds.
maybe I'm wrong, but
So for the donation of property for the Applegate Library, I did send out yesterday a separate agenda item memo, which is on your table in front of you today. And we do have some folks here from Padre Properties to help answer any questions if you have them regarding this. So Nicole, if you'd like to come forward and sit here, and if Scott's able to join us, he can step in as well. It may be a short conversation, we'll see. So, I did provide the memo for you, but I did also just provide it yesterday. So just a brief recap. The land that the Applegate Library sits on is currently available to us through a land lease agreement for $1 a year for the next, I can't do math, so until 2099. So it's a 100-year lease on the property. And about 4 or 5 years ago, Nicole, we talked about
It's been going on a long time.
it has been.
what if we just donated the land? And at the time, there was an ordinance, county ordinance
County,
that said
Zoning.
we can't subdivide it. And so there was many conversations involving our legal counsel, Mr. Braden's representatives, and so it was like, all right, this is confusing. And we didn't hear anything for several years. And then last month I got a call from Scott Fine, the surveyor for Project Properties, and he said, hey, remember that thing we were talking about? We're ready to do it. And so we're have done some research, had some conversations. And Scott, if you'd like to come up as well.
You can come up and join us.
We feel satisfied that they have met that the conditions have been met for them to be able to subdivide off a parcel of the agricultural land that they have in the Applegate. And it would be a 5-acre parcel. We currently have around 2.5 acres, I believe, at that property. And the reason for the additional amount is because of the county ordinance requirement for a 200-foot setback from all 4 directions from the facility itself. So the recommendation is to accept this generous donation from Padre Properties and Mr. Braden, pending a clean, if you will, environmental audit stage 1. Phase 1.
Mhm.
That was me remembering a lot of jargon, but in both, this is Scott Fine, the survey I just mentioned, and Nicole, I forgot your last name.
Wait, that's
Lee, who also represents Mr. Braden and Padre Properties. So they both generously agreed to be here today in case there were any questions that, with my limited understanding, could answer for you.
I think we're supposed to have a motion on the floor before we have discussion. So can we have a motion to approve accepting this generous donation?
So moved. Or do you want me to say it out?
Marta?
Yes. The motion can be that the board approves the facility committee recommendation that the district gratefully accept the donation of the 5 acres of property on which the Applegate Library resides, pending and satisfactory completion of the phase 1 environmental survey, which, thank you, would be executed at the expense of donor.
Second.
Right. The motion was made by Marta and seconded by Kevin. Now, can we have questions or discussion?
Question.
Kevin?
Is the library itself going to receive this donation, or does the foundation probably receive this?
So that was part of the discussion. And as I said, this did go to the facilities committee. I should have mentioned that we did discuss this at the facilities committee yesterday. And in the early conversations, we were like, well, does it make more sense? And correct me if I'm wrong, but you all, or Mr. Braden, can get the tax benefit he is looking for with a donation directly to the library as a local government nonprofit.
I would have to talk to one of his accountants to confirm.
That discussion's a process.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
So that would
So-
make a difference.
right. So, and that was, if that is what if it needs to go through our foundation in order for that tax benefit, then I think we would be willing to consider that as well. But when we were talking about that, it seemed more efficient, if you will,
Yes.
to have it go directly to the district.
Right.
And if the foundation were to accept it, they would then
Part around it,
Quit claiming.
deed it to the library anyway. I mean, it's
So
the
we-
district that needs to.
I just want to make sure it
Property.
preserves the tax benefit to the
Correct.
donor.
Marta?
In case the foundation donation is the most beneficial immediate way to go, does this motion give enough support for the library staff to keep pursuing it?
I would
And support the
recommend
foundation.
that you would amend the motion to basically provide that, so that with the preference being to the library district, and if that it's not feasible, that it would go to the foundation.
Can you please coach me on what kind of an amendment I would need to make to my motion?
Yeah, so I would just say to amend your motion to provide that if the donor's preference is that it be donated to the library foundation, or I guess not the preference, that if the tax benefits cannot be achieved through donation to the district directly, that it be donated to the library foundation.
And can we,
We can just add that as a sentence on the end of
That's
your
perfect.
motion. I think
Yes,
that
that's
works
your amendment.
great.
that's my amendment. And does that give enough empowerment to the staff to keep exploring it until we have the answer?
I think so.
It should, and then the foundation would then also still need to agree to acceptance of it. And we would bring that to their meeting next week and they are already aware that this is a potential donation, so.
This vote paves a path regardless.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Just, well, second would approve that as well.
Okay, good. Marta?
Have we completed a transaction like this before?
Not
either
exactly like
in
that.
our previous life or in this iteration of the organization?
We have accepted other land, but not necessarily that land that libraries sit on. We've had legacy gifts.
To the library or to the foundation though?
Well, they've, in the past couple times, they have thought they were leaving it to the library, but like there was a house left to the Ashland Library, but
that's
the
what I'm
Ashland
thinking.
Library doesn't exist by its
Right.
as a legal entity on its own. It's part of the district. So it was determined that it should go to the foundation.
That's helpful.
So that's been our sort of SOP for land. But for this purpose, since it's land on which the library sits, I think we're probably good, but we'll have to see.
And I will say that we do have the gift acceptance policy in place that outlines the process for acceptance of real property. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we can't make people donate to one organization or the other. So in our policy, we highly encourage lands of real or donations of real property to go through the foundation. So that is why we have it set up that way. And that's why we had that conversation with this particular donation, because in general, we would be encouraging those donations through our foundation. But because of the uniqueness of this, knowing that we already have a library that is operating on that piece of land and we plan to continue to do that. That is our path forward.
Mark,
Just wanted to get in the discussion piece on the record that we are also very grateful for very beneficial to the library lease to date. The last 24 years we have benefited from this, and so has the community. That's also not to be overlooked. So we appreciate everything that you've offered us up until now, and of course going forward. That's huge. That's a quarter of a century of a mutually beneficial partnership. Thank you.
absolutely.
Did set us back $25 though.
Only $5. Yes, the rest is gone to the county.
Any other discussion?
I just wanted to again thank Mr. Braden for also agreeing to cover the environmental review. So I really appreciate his generosity.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So all in favor, please. Do we need a roll call on this?
I don't.
Okay. So all in favor of this motion accepting the donation from Mr. Braden, please signify by saying aye.
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 It's a unanimous vote in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. For being here.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for answering the questions. It's a great boon to the library system. I think to have this taken care of after so much struggle.
Yes, it's been a lot of conversations.
Took a long time to figure out how to effectuate it through land use. And we finally got there. So thank you for being great to work with. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
We'll see you at the branch.
Yeah.
One of these days.
All right. All right, we'll back up one step on the agenda to the Friends Foundation Library MOU. Joe?
Hello.
Hello.
So I think beginning this summer, myself along with the foundation members, the Friends of the Libraries, representatives from about 4 different friends groups, got together and set to revise these MOU. And so we had good bones, but we went through and tried to make some sections clearer. And that is what I see. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Well, let's get a motion to approve on the table and then we'll discuss. I have quite a few questions, actually. Can we have a motion to approve the MOU between the foundation, the Friends, and the library? Is that a proper description of this?
I move to approve the MOU as presented. This is Marta.
I second.
Right? Marta has moved approval and Patty has seconded. Now we can have questions and discussion. We just recently approved an MOU with the foundation, I believe. How does that relate to this?
From my understanding, includes the Friends. So that's how all of this work together between the Friends, the foundation, and the library.
So this doesn't affect the MOU with the foundation at all?
It should not. In fact, some of the language was made between the foundation to be exactly what was on the MOU on the last page under foundation section 3.
Kevin,
So I guess specifically, we're saying we now have this one document that supersedes the other one.
no?
So we have two separate documents.
Right. Because I believe the MOU was just between the foundation and the library. And then this one includes all three working together.
See. Jen,
I-
you
I
want to come up
certainly am
here and
not-
participate in this?
Yeah, she could. Let her do it.
So we have always had an MOU between the library and the foundation, and we have had an MOU between the Friends groups and the foundation and the library. They're separate in terms of the dynamic, but they don't negate one another or supersede one another. One is just between the district and the foundation, and then I believe, Carrie, I don't know where it stands at the moment. There are also individual MOUs between the district and most Friends groups, correct?
The version of this MOU that is being updated, the prior one, yes, we have signed agreements with, I believe, 10 of the Friends organizations.
So we're not going to have individual. Well, we are going to have is this agreement, is this MOU that
It's amongst
covers,
and between each Friends group individually with the library and the foundation. It's not an agreement between all Friends groups collectively,
Right.
plus the library, plus the foundation.
I understand that part, but the library has a separate MOU with the foundation. Are we going to have a separate MOU with each Friends group also? Or is this the only MOU that will govern relationship between the Friends and the library?
This is the only agreement for that.
Are they going to feel left out because they don't have their own and the foundation does?
The agreement we have with the foundation is for operations in a different way than it is with the Friends. There's not a, I mean, the way it's written, there is that section of here's the Friends' responsibilities, here's the foundation's responsibilities, here's the library's responsibilities in this joint responsibility. So I don't know if that came up in the discussions, but
Yeah. One of the questions I mean, because I've been involved with the Friends and the foundation and the district, I might have a different understanding than some of us, but in the past, we have sort of talked about having it made clear somewhere that the foundation would be looking for different kinds of financial contributions than the Friends groups would. It doesn't seem to me like that is covered in here. I mean, it talks about it meant, and I can dig through here and see, but it looks to me like we don't really say to the Friends that we're not looking for you to raise the kind of money that the foundation raised.
I think that's covered more in the gift policy than it is in the MOU at the moment.
I went looking for my gift policy and I found the first page. of it
So it's
without
on the
finding
district
rest.
website.
I know. I was,
I'm saying that for everyone.
And it's linked in the memo I sent out yesterday. And I think that this is an area that in the time I've been here and probably time immemorial for all friends, foundations and libraries is what is that difference? What is that cutoff number, if you will, or whatever. But in defining the primary role of the Friends is to raise money to support their branch library. And the Friends would encourage donors wishing to set up endowments or permanent funds in support of the library to make those contributions through the foundation. And then in the foundation's primary roles, raise funds through annual campaigns, working with major donors, corporations, and foundations. We are trying to delineate and specify who you're going to call when you're making this type of donation or that. And that is a topic that we have talked about having further training for all of us, staff and boards of all of those entities, so that we are all making sure that we're working together in support of the common mission of the library.
all right. Oh, on page 2 of 4, under section 2, Friends and Foundation. I'd like to back up. There's no reference in here to the President's Forum, and I understand that that's probably because there is no official function of the President's Forum, but it does provide I'm just wondering whether we ought to mention it at all, because it provides a forum for the library district and the foundation to sort of talk to the friends groups together. And they, I mean, I might be, but we send library staff to at least some, if not all, of the President's Forum meetings. And I don't know if we actually really attend the individual Friends board meetings or not. But it occurred to me that we maybe ought to talk about the President's Forum, even though it's not really an official.
In terms that they would require an attendance or just being a part of.
Well, I'm not.
Okay.
I don't have a specific recommendation for how to, but it seems, well, that occurred to me anyway. And at one point we say that if the Friends want to have time on the district board agendas, they have to tell us a week in advance. But on page 2, section 2(3), sub 3, we say that the library can ask to be on their agenda, but there is no time specified. I mean, I have a few little editing things like this that I don't think affect the substance. I would love to be able to just make editing suggestions that don't change the substance. And I don't know if we can approve it other ways and you can accept them or not. But
I absolutely would love your feedback. So
I don't know if it came up this time, and the committee that looked at this was representatives who participate in the President's Forum. And I don't know if that question came up this year about including them in the document, but I do remember when we drafted this in 2019, 2020, that there was discussion around how that would be incorporated into this document, given as you said, it's not an officially recognized body with bylaws and things like that. And then also the fact that this is an individual agreement between each Friends organization and the library, that the President's Forum is more of a support network within the Friends organizations than a support of that relationship to the district, if that makes sense.
But
So I know there was discussion about it, and so I would say my recommendation to Jenny and Joan would be to take that question back to the President's Forum. You know, if that is something that they would want amended into this MOU.
well, and it occurred to me that perhaps we just would describe that a little bit in the introductory paragraphs so that it doesn't actually it doesn't change the terms of the agreement at all, but since there isn't anything else that governs the Friends, that this is going to be the sole Friends agreement. And maybe we don't care about the President's Forum, but it has been pretty important to the Friends since it was convened. So,
Thank you. Under library, section 8, library board agrees to allow room on their meeting agendas. If requested by a Friends of Foundation Board's president, and I'd like to add in Foundation Executive Director.
Just the wording to.
Yeah. Because I
mean, I am typically on the agenda. I think maybe we didn't feel like we needed that added, but I don't have from the foundation standpoint, I don't have a problem with adding that.
sounds like when there are updates or you'd like to be part of us, you may be the one pinging us. So I think that actually would be reflecting the top better. And I'll have a couple of super minor, very, very minor sentence structure, things to just send in that have no material change on what's before us today.
Kevin,
In section 1,
would you turn your mic on?
thanks. In section 1, number 5, it states that the library agrees to allow both Friends Foundation with access to meeting room space, which is redundant, right? I mean, because as anybody has access to the meeting room space, I guess, right?
Sure.
And then it's in all cases, the use of library space by the Friends will not take precedence. I mean, I guess if they agreed to that, that's one thing. But usually, if we're doing a big sale or something, it would be nice to have. If they were doing a big sale, it'd be nice to have extra time. Like if we're planning it 6 months out, where we could do that. And I think there's a limit right now, currently, to 3-month window, and then it could be a birthday party preempts what would have been our large sale. And I'm just wondering if we can make a provision. I don't know. Do we really? It's always a discretion of the library whether to let us use space, but to put this in writing kind of says that, it prohibits you from giving us that discretion when we may deserve, the Friends may need it.
That's true. I think the language was included because that's what is on our meeting room policy. Is that
The Friends are a little bit, a little bit more associated with the library itself because the money is all going to the library and our budget has to be reported on your budget and things like that.
So I wasn't involved in this time's negotiations or terms of this, but the reason why specifically saying, the library will allow both the Friends and Foundation access to meeting room space, even though, yes, anybody has access, is there's like a hierarchy of priority, if you will, that we do try to incorporate like the major Friends book sales and things like that into our scheduling of the large meeting rooms. But there are times when we've bumped other things out of the room, whether it's a Friends event or another community event, because there is I'm going to say last minute or, a shorter time frame for a library event. But we do try this is to acknowledge that while everyone can use the meeting room, we are trying to be good partners with our Friends and Foundation and help them with access to the meeting room space. Does that make sense?
I'm sure I think we both have the same idea on that. It's just that I just want to make sure that this doesn't preclude giving them a break when you need to, or when they need it. So
Well, I also have a question about this same section where it says the library agrees to communicate with the Friends and the Foundation about any reallocation of space.
where's that? I'm sorry. What
It's
number?
right in the middle, the second.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Sentence.
But
I was just wondering if we wanted to specify in advance or put some time frame on it so that it's not like. So it's I mean, maybe we would infer meaningful communication, but it's the lawyer in me, coming out here that. Okay. Reasonable advanced communication, something like that.
Yes.
Would make sense to me.
On the same section 5, the library, I have had it kind of hammered into me not to call it a sale and call it a clearance. So I just wanted to make sure our language doesn't get anybody in a hot water. Just that could get.
does it say somewhere sale?
It says book
First
sales,
sentence.
book sale space. So
Oh.
clearance events and administrative needs. Okay. Well, something like that, but sales is something they've have gone away from.
Right, in terms of most of the Friends organizations, except
Mhm.
donations or recommended pricing.
I just want to push back a little bit on that, Marta, because we do sell books in the library. We, again, I mean, the Friends sell books
But
in
you
the
take
library.
them by donation or recommended price. So it's the word sale in terms of what are your tax obligations. for
But I mean, in
book
the
sale.
store, we're actually selling, right? So wouldn't that apply here? Okay, so
But
I'm
well-
saying I don't think we need to
Well,
take
some
that
of the
out.
other Friends groups price their books too, I think. So it's a sale, not a donation.
I have just one more.
Mhm.
Section 2, number 3. Does that mean that if we were hosting if we had friends were hosting an event, a clearance event, that the library would support that with advertising to the membership base?
It means if you give us your flyers, we will post them and publicize them, promote them. In the
Yeah,
library.
but it says membership base. I mean, that doesn't.
Oh.
There are no members of the library, I guess.
So
Anyways.
this is an agreement with the Friends and the Foundation will support each other's work.
Uh,
So that is that if you're having a book sale, the Foundation would help promote it,
Okay.
the other Friends organizations would help promote it. So it is,
so
This
the
is-
library's
these are
not
the-
involved. We can't use the library database.
these are the agreements between
Yeah.
Friends and Foundation in mutually supporting each other in your efforts to support the mission of the library.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify, so is something changing like operationally, or are we just kind of clarifying language and understanding for the most part?
Just clarifying language.
I think we're just clarifying.
So my question is, do all of those, I'm gonna say minor immaterial edits need to be in before we vote on it? Because sounds like we may be in agreement about the spirit and the overall format of the document, and maybe if we give us a deadline by which we need to get those minor things in, we can vote on it now, or do we want to wait until everybody's on board with every single paragraph and sentence?
I would recommend that you table it and then come back with a clean version. I mean, you won't have much discussion at that point, but I think it would make sense to have the actual revisions in, because I know that they're all minor, but it sounds like there's some of them are sentence structure type things, and doesn't change the spirit, but it definitely changes the document.
Okay, so that. I'm just trying to do my parliamentarian thing here and
So your recommendation is a move to table.
Yes.
so we can move to table and then not vote on. All right, Kevin is moving to table.
Marta, and I second tabling it.
Yes. All right. Can it be, it's not a debatable motion, so we'll have a, it's been moved that we table this pending edits to the draft, and it will come back in a slightly different form, but probably not substantively different.
What is the deadline?
Next board meeting?
Yeah, we ought to be able to do that by the next board meeting, I think. So it will come back in the next board meeting. All in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, so we'll table it and give Joan our suggested edits and get it back so we can look at it in all spiffed up and approve it next time.
So do you need it, do you need it within like 2 weeks? So then you have time to incorporate it and then we have time to include it in the packet and so forth. I'm very deadline driven. I
If
like
it could be
dates.
by the end of the month, that would be perfect for me.
Yep. All right.
Joan, just one thing, can you make friends sometimes together, apostrophe and sometimes it doesn't?
Okay. Speak into your microphone, please.
Lord, repeat.
Yes. I can't.
Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't. So.
For friends.
Yeah, all right.
And
Okay,
thank you for your work on this. The comments may be stylistic in nature. We just want to make sure it's just a super,
sure. I
super
have some that
spiffy.
are- I have some that are grammatical in nature too, but anyway. I think it's none of it substantive. All right, so that takes care of new business, I believe. And we have the director's report next. Carrie.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I feel like some of our things have gone a little over on time this morning or evening. So I won't dwell on much that is in the report. I also want to just add that I did attend the Oregon Telecommunications and Broadband Conference in Hood River in the month of October. And I think I was the only librarian there. But it was great to be there representing the importance of libraries as community anchor institutions and as part of the digital literacy aspect and digital equity aspect of how broadband and communications works across the state. One of the themes of the conference was how artificial intelligence is involved in the broadband space. And that was a really interesting way to think about things. There was a gentleman from Microsoft who talked about using AI to improve chip technology. I was like, I don't know how you do that, but that sounds fascinating. I also attended, along with Patty and Marta, the ULC Urban Libraries Council annual leadership gathering with the focus this year on advocacy. And so those were two things that took me away from the branches and the library for a while, but came back from both with some really great energy and information. So those are some of the highlights from my October. There are a lot of amazing things that we did in our branches, as you can see from the report. And if you all have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those questions.
Questions for Carrie? Patty?
I'd like to make a comment that I do every month. Yeah, I think it's on. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry. This is amazing. And it's all of you that are making this happen. And every time I look at this and read it, I'm just awed. And I just wish that every single resident in our community could read the same report, because it's just amazing and it's so heartwarming. And the little kids from the preschool that made the heart and then presented it, and the kids that got to look at the butterflies. And it's just, I just want to gush a little bit more about how fabulous you all are. And thank you.
Thank you, Patty.
Any other questions or comments about the director's report? All right then.
Yeah, it'd still be nice to have a little more information on exactly how like weeding and procurement is done of the collection. I know it was mentioned in there that there was some weeding that done, although I think it was of audio stuff, to keep the collection fresh. But I was kind of curious how it tracks with like actual patrons' browsing habits, because a lot of people expressed to me that they go online and pick out all their books and put them on hold and maybe see materials that way. So I'm just kind of wondering what data drives those decisions.
Well, I will give you a twofold answer, Marissa. One is that the director's report generally is not data driven, it's story driven. And I hear your question. That is something that when we're looking at the state statistical report, we do include information about how many materials were added and how many were removed from the collection over the course of the year. And then I do know that our collection development manager is really close to having that state of the collection report, which we presented last November, I think. So we're a little behind schedule this year on that. But I do think that that report will have a lot of those, answer those types of questions that you have. I just made eye contact with Kelda and she confirmed. So
yeah,
that is forthcoming.
I generally don't find those reports have what I'm looking for, because I'm just looking for like a more detailed audit of our collection and what people are actually checking out.
I will talk with you separately and see if I can get a better understanding of what you're looking for and how we can help address some of those questions or curiosities.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've expressed in the past that I'm looking for kind of an audit of our collection by like publication dates and just seeing how diverse our collection is. Because, again, you always state that we want to have a nice shiny collection, which I appreciate wanting to keep things fresh, but I'm just curious if we're having a well-balanced collection and still, rebuying kind of old classic literature that people are still interested in buying. So that's what I'm getting at. And again, I kind of hear things from people that they don't necessarily like find things from just browsing around. And I appreciate the effort that the librarians go to like select and procure things, but I'm just wondering if people actually follow those recommendations. And I know we've had some anecdotal stories that kind of suggest yes, but I just think it'd be nice to have more data-driven analytics, because again, from what people tell me and then the report, I kind of hear two different stories. But I will say I always hear compliments on your programming, and so people always do appreciate your programming. So thank you again for that work.
Well,
Thanks, Marissa.
part of the board's responsibility as far as collection is concerned, though, is I think, is supposed to be through approval of the collection development policy and how that's administered. And so perhaps the best way to deal with your questions is when we come back to the collection development policy again and look at it. I'm not sure if that's correct, but I don't think it's our job to tell library staff what their range of publication dates are supposed to be, unless our effect on the collection should come through the collection development policy and how that's administered, I think.
Okay, I'll look at it from that perspective, Susan, but I'm just kind of thinking at it from my higher education standpoint and how we can continue to promote literacy in the community, especially deep literacy and like reading difficult books and deeply analyzing stuff. Like I'm hearing from educators that is a huge problem, and people will read comic books just fine, but again, reading the classics, all those things is kind of going by the wayside. So I'm just wondering how we as a board and the library can keep promoting good literacy values and trying to promote education in our community.
So as I said, Marissa, I would love to chat with you and see if we can, because part of what I'm hearing too is that you want a way to be able to address questions that you're getting from the community and having that kind of context for answering those questions. So happy to meet with you further and see if, and sometimes it may be as simple as saying, hey, here's Carrie's contact information, give her a call, but would love to help you be able to feel confident in responding to those questions that you're hearing from the community.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, we can follow up later.
Thanks.
Did you have another question, Kevin?
Yeah, I would be in that topic too, to at the data analysis
Okay.
subcommittee, or that would be great. If we bring that up.
All right. Well, next up then would be the foundation report. Ginny?
Hello again.
Welcome back to Cory. Thank you. Thank you very much. Patty was making me chuckle there. She saw me trying to decide if it was time to get up or not. So yeah, I guess the first news is that I am making my way back to Oregon. I'm here right now and brought my dog back. So it's official that I am intending to be here more than South Carolina for the next few months and officially be back here as soon as possible. So hopefully you'll see more of me ongoingly. I won't spend a lot of time on the report. It's pretty straightforward. Lots of great stuff going on at the state level with Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Our well-read book club is going really very well. And the next one is December 4th, which unfortunately is the same night as one of your listening sessions. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. Listening sessions for the strategic plan. And we had a great library directors book club with our major donors and Jess Walter as well. And we're selling wine glasses as part of Well-Read Book Club. So if you'd like one, let me know. I just want to give a shout out to the foundation board as well, doing a great deal of work with outreach. I know our Patty Vanikiotis is working with Patty Jensen to get out to the different, and Josh, of course, yes, and Josh, to get out to the various libraries and communicate with staff and out in the community with the friends and so many other things, and the fundraising committee as well. We have a very robust group of folks, and they are just absolutely knocking it out of the park. And so look for more in the future from them and from me as we continue to grow and expand, because I think we're in a good zone right now. Do you all have any questions for the foundation?
Great. Huge kudos to Ginny helping celebrate the Carnegie grant to the Ashland Library. I at first thought it was the foundation that helped secure that grant. Sounds like a lot of the work on it, on securing it, has been done by Director May and the Ashland branch manager. But the fact that you helped celebrate it was tremendous. And then you pointed me to the right, the source of that award. So thanks for being great at cross promoting our successes and opportunities. Thank you. And a shout out to Carrie and Kristen.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Thank you, Ginny. Heather. All right. The next up on the agenda is the financial report. Wait.
Thought there was something in front of me, but
You will see.
Oh, did I?
You're
Oh, I missed. I'm sorry.
just sit for a
I
minute if
missed.
you want to go. Okay,
Let me think of it. I can't read.
just excited to hear about the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
So in the report is the Q1 financials, so July through September. And I noted any significant differences in where we're at year to date compared to budget. There's nothing of major concern at this point. One thing I wanted to point out is in the individual reports, I've added these summaries at the bottom of the pages that show where we are in comparison to the way the budget is actually presented. So there's a breakdown by the budget categories and by the programs. If anything, I think this helps show more where we would, if we were out of line, it would be very obvious. It would pop up in these percentages, and but we're not. Everything is showing that we are well within budget. There is one little oddity on the grants funds that looks like we are out of budget that we're at 127% of budget. This is a small number, and it's actually related to we budgeted for an amount that the foundation was going to give us to provide materials for staff day. They were gracious enough to give us more than what we asked for, and so we spent more. And so I'm working on figuring out how to present this in a better light so that it doesn't look like we're out of budget at this point. But it's not a bad thing. So with that, I guess I just take any questions anybody had. Yeah, Mark.
I move that the board accept the year-to-date September 2025 finance report as presented.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
This is Marta and I second.
All right, I have one question.
Okay.
On the presentation page, under your analysis, it's my understanding that we are required to have a balanced budget, and you show revenue of 17 million and expenses of 19 million. And I just wondered, I mean, I realize this isn't our whole budget, but it looks kind of.
It doesn't take into account our beginning resources, so we come
Right.
with a fund balance. And so when we present the actual budget, it comes through with a balance.
All right.
Number.
It just,
This is just explaining
I
what the
just
total.
wasn't sure we wanted to have a 2 million.
I mean, this is it's
You
been
know,
this way consistently in every report. So if it
This shows you I don't read it
that's
that carefully every month, I guess, because
but I get what you're saying.
it
So
stood out to me.
no, it is what we budgeted. So we had resources to use.
All right. Any other questions? Let's vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed? The finance report is accepted
You.
unanimously. And now we'll come back to the Urban Library Council's conference, and Patty and Marta and Carrie can.
So it was an honor and a privilege to attend the Urban Libraries Council advocacy focused summit this year in Ohio. And my favorite format of reporting on professional events is favorite session, valuable connection made, and takeaway. That's right. So the favorite session that resonated with me the most was a session on libraries, especially in the era of increased social isolation due to a variety of factors, sped up by the pandemic, but still we've been seeing this trend for a while. Libraries are becoming a public space that's one of the few truly versatile open access public spaces left.
Yep.
And of course, there were beautiful images of shiny glass and steel facilities from all over the world. And at the same time, the questions the presenter asked us to bring back to our communities is if that's the future of the libraries, which very well may be, it's already the case for a lot of the facilities. How does that factor into our strategic planning and long-term planning if we are becoming a place where community comes together? So perhaps a step beyond just a meeting room, but where key community events and public engagement happens, where it becomes a public forum. And my favorite connection, or the one that I found meaningful among others, was the director and the CEO of the Public Library of Youngstown and Mahoning County in Ohio. What spoke to me, because economy is kind of my thing, and economics are my thing. Amy discussed in her presentation and then in a one-on-one chat how the library became what it needed to be and reflected the immediate needs of a community following a major layoff. And in Ohio, those are automotive manufacturers. So it became the place to go get resources for your resume, right? As individuals accessed other services in the community, library stepped up and met those needs. And my takeaway, I'm spacing on it right now. I totally had it coming into here. I brought back a paper flyer of an inventory a community can conduct about the public spaces that exist, the direction of the library overall strategy. And Carrie said you can just take a picture of mine, but right now it's folded up on my kitchen counter and I've been kind of looking at it, glazing over it every morning with my coffee, which is why I wanted the paper copy. So really nice worksheet style printout that we could bring home with us to ponder the future and the significance of the libraries we have. We have 15 branches, and in every community, there are some commonalities, what the library does across the board. And then in every community, it performs a very unique function as well. So that's my takeaway. And I'm going to hand it off to Director Jensen.
And thank you for the lovely introduction. It really was a privilege and an honor to be able to attend. And I'm going to share also 3 quick things. The first one is the priorities in one of the sessions, priorities guiding advocacy. 1, libraries are essential public infrastructures that need to be preserved. 2, public libraries advance literacy across a lifetime, which remains core to building a healthy economy and a strong nation. 3, public libraries are leaders in workforce development, small business resources, digital inclusion, and career navigation. 4, libraries provide essential access to health and mental health resources and support unhoused individuals and families. 5, access to information and intellectual freedom are fundamental values of democracy and individual rights. And I want to, my second point is to talk about number 4, the access to health and mental health resources. There was a gentleman, I believe he was the head of was it the Baltimore Library, Roosevelt?
He's in Texas now. Can't
Okay.
remember which branch, but yeah.
But this was so powerful. What he said was there were people in official positions in government, the legislature, that said to him, you're stepping outside your scope. You're stepping outside the bounds of what the mission of the library should be. And he would say to them, we aren't going out and reaching out to them. They are coming to seeking us and our help because you, government officials, are not doing your job. And my last one is, this one's for you, Ginny. I took the card from the person that figures out how to get the money for the Cincinnati library. Follow the money in a good way. So her name is Stacy Dennison. She's the Chief Development Officer for the Cincinnati Public Library. And I will share this with you and share it with anybody who wants it. She was really a lovely person, wasn't she?
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
I just want to add some of my key takeaways. I think, one, there was a session where a librarian from New Jersey who ran for state to be a state representative and did not win, but through that process met a lot of people and made a lot of those political connections. She talked about, and several of the panelists talked about the library as an apolitical space because we serve everybody, but that doesn't mean we're not involved in politics. And particularly as it pertains to advocacy, knowing your local elected officials and knowing who you can call when you need to share information about the library, whether that's inviting them to a community event or something awesome happening at your library. So that's kind of a best session and key takeaway was that invite your legislators to your events. And one of them said, today's mayor may be tomorrow's governor, so never know those people that you make connections with today, where they might go in the future. And then I also met someone for Jenny. I met somebody who one of our newest board members works for her in her day job. And she's now one of our foundation board members. So it was nice to come full circle on making that connection at a previous conference and having seen her again at this conference.
And I also learned that everybody knows Carrie May.
Oh, yes. And I want to add
She gets around.
one more thing that was kind of fun for us. There was by the way, I had never met that many librarians in my entire life. One room, except at our staff. Except these were from all over the country. But so there was probably a couple hundred people in the room, I think. And talking about, I'd forgotten about this, about the politics, and they asked how many people in this room were elected to whatever they're doing in the library, and our two little hands shot up, or how many people ran for their position. And then she said, well, how many were elected? We both went, yeah. So we were very happy and excited, and I don't know, is it unusual to have the positions, board positions, be elected?
When you have a district, it is.
It varies state to state, and different states have different rules. So in other states, they are appointed positions, or they are more of an advisory council because it is a city or county department. And so sometimes the board doesn't have the governing authority that you all do here.
There's many structures.
And it was interesting.
Yeah. Several of the other trustees of the handful that was there that I interacted with, they were appointed. And when they describe their board, half of it gets appointed by the city council, and the other gets appointed by the county commissioners, or parallel structure. So very fascinating structures. Learned a lot, brought back a lot of notes. Thank you, Director Jensen, for humoring my 3-point structure, because otherwise we would talk about it for a very long time.
Any questions, Marissa, for these folks from on the Urban Libraries Conference? All right, then we have on the agenda committee and reports from the policy committee and the strategic planning committee. Have we met? Has the policy committee met in the last month? I don't think so.
Well, there's notes on page 37 that we met on October 6th.
I actually did read all the way to the end.
I was not at that meeting, but I do remember that it happened. So what was primarily discussed at that meeting are the policies that have come forward for review, both the land acknowledgement and the internet.
Oh, that's right.
Policy.
How could I forget? Right. Are there questions about the minutes that have been submitted? All right. All right. Okay, then, how about hearing from the strategic planning committee, please?
I'm happy to start us off. You will see that in the packet alone, you'll see two sets of minutes. And that doesn't capture the meeting that we had, I believe, earlier this week. We're still working those notes. We had a meeting for the strategic planning committee earlier this week.
We did. That was advocacy.
Strategic planning was discussed at length. My bad.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, strategic planning and advocacy, they
that
blend
happens when you
together.
have a 5-people board and 79 committees. My bad. The strategic planning effort is well underway. I was incredibly pleased and proud, though, due to no immediate work of my own, to see the strategic planning process on the front page of the RV Times today.
Oh,
The
cool.
significance of this cannot be understated. We are on the front page of RV Times.
The library strategic planning's on the front page of the Times.
The fact that we're
Oh, that's
launching it
great.
for the next 5 years is on there. That's awesome. It's proactive. I believe our listening sessions are listed there. And
Tomorrow.
yes, starting tomorrow, because we have several.
Right.
There is also 2 levels of depth of surveys that are going out to a variety of stakeholders. Tremendous thanks to the library staff for being on this proactively. We are self-performing a lot of functions that otherwise consultants would be doing. That doesn't mean consultants won't be involved, but what we're doing right now, we're doing with what we have. And that's huge. And I also heard the strategic planning sessions were in a Valpak coupon mailer too, which for some reason I don't receive it. That's what I get for not having a house number on my house. But tremendous kudos. It's launching, it's underway. We're about to start gathering community feedback. And some of the questions we're asking the 2 tiers of stakeholders and partners and patrons, some of them are library oriented and some of them are asking them about the community vision and needs as they see them. So we're also asking our partner organizations where they are with their strategic plan. Like if they have one handy, like, hey, what are your priorities over there that you need us to know about? So it's very engaged, very founded in partnerships.
Great.
I'm very, very, very happy with where it is. Stay tuned.
Good. Marissa, do you have anything to add to the strategic planning
Marta-
committee report?
Marta summed it up wonderfully. I did miss the last meeting. I had a scheduled conflict, but Josh has been wonderful in organizing everything and kind of keeping everybody informed and on track. And as Marta mentioned, we're beginning to reach out to key community partners and solicit public information and feedback. So look forward to this process.
Are you hoping that you will get board members coming to these listening sessions so that they hear this stuff also?
Yes, and I believe. Go ahead, Marisa.
Yeah, I was going to say, yes, that'd be ideal. Please come. I know me personally, I'll have difficulty making some of these sessions, unfortunately, due to my schedule, but I encourage other board members to attend.
And Yoli did send out all those dates to all of
Right.
you. So if you are available, please, I guess RSVP, and then we'll know to look for you as well, and be sure to introduce you.
Okay, you want us to RSVP then?
Yes, if you
'Cause
can.
I'm
'cause
gonna
then
try to come.
We can
Going
include you in
between-
the
Not Matt,
introductions.
not Medford or not Ashland. I'm taking the hinterland.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order? Hearing nothing, I will stand adjourned.